Today we're talking about what caused the Roman Empire to collapse and what was the impact of that. Okay, so remember Rome started out as a republic and it was a city state that was greatly influenced by Greece. Here we go. We've got the first stage where it's the kings. And then we have the Senate in our republic. We have the plebeians and the patricians. Then the Republic expanded because they defeated Carthage in the Punic Wars, and now they are going to change government because of corruption. They had civil wars and the assassination of Julius Caesar. So in that time period, they had the councils, and then Julius Caesar was an emperor. Then we have Augustus, where we're going to have Roman civil wars. At the very end of his rule, we have the Pax Romana, where they have peace. So for 207 years, they were peace. So that's the height of it. And then they're going to start declining because of different issues. And we're going to talk about those three issues: the political, economic, and military issues. So political issues, it's huge. You know, today we can call up Washington, D.C., even if we're in Washington State. But then to communicate with Rome, you would have to walk. So it was really hard to communicate. And the emperors after Augustus were very weak. Like Nero's going to burn down Rome so that he can build a garden. Citizens experienced a loss of confidence. So were they out to, were the emperors out for themselves, or were they going to help the Roman people? There were also some economic reasons. So we had disruption in trade. You know, think of wars that would stop ships. We had they had bad harvests because of drought that caused food shortages. And also, remember, the farmers were going off to war, so there was nobody to plant. They bought more than they produced, so they were not making money. And the government then raised taxes and printed new coins, and this caused inflation, so the money wasn't worth anything. This left a lot of people poor, and poor people are not going to be happy. Then Rome had military issues. The Germanic tribes, so here that's later going to become Germany and France, they're going to gain strength while the military was declining because, you know, the generals wanted to be an emperor. You can't be both. So to save money, they hired mercenaries, and mercenaries were fighting for the money. So once the money was gone, so was their loyalty. Okay, so there's three stages. We just talked about the internal problems within Rome, but there's also going to be an up. So there is light before the end. So they go up and then they go back down. So attempts to reform Diocletian, I always say his name wrong, I'm sorry. He tried to fix the military. He made it bigger, and it was Roman citizens, not the mercenary. He fixed the prices for goods so that everybody had to charge the same thing. And then he presented himself as being kind of like a pharaoh, like he was God on earth. His most important reform was dividing it into two different pieces, and this is going to ultimately cause the downfall. So this is Western Roman Empire, where you have Rome, and this is the Eastern Roman Empire. It's going to be called the Byzantium, and he's going to establish a second capital in what we call Turkey today, in Constantinople. All right, so we've got the Greek-speaking, and over here, the pink is the Greek-speaking, and then the Latin-speaking are the Roman language in the purple. So they're divided by language. It's going to further divide them. They're also divided by wealth because the East over here was wealthier than the West because of the trade empires. There was lots of trade going on here. And if you think about it, the Silk Road coming from the Far East would go through the Byzantium before it would get to the Mediterranean part. Okay, so Diocletian, he is going to change Christianity. So he's not going to persecute them anymore. He's going to move the capital from Rome to Constantinople, or what was eventually called Constantinople. Constantinople was a really big trade center. It still is. It was easy to defend, but it's also going to cause other issues. Okay, so we've got the Germanic people are going to invade. They have during the invasion, they also are fighting off disease, smallpox, measles, the beginning of the bubonic plague. Is going to kill lots of people, and they're all crammed in there, and they're starving because there's not food. This causes a lower population, so lower population means less trade, less money. You know, if the mercenaries and the armies aren't getting paid, they are not going to fight. Okay, so and this is all talking about the Western Empire, or over here where Rome, the city itself, is located. So then you have the barbarians, the Huns. So if you hear Attila Hun, this is who we're talking about. They're going to invade along with the Visigoths and the Goths. They're going to invade Rome, and they're going to sack it. They're basically going to burn parts of it to the ground. A lot of knowledge is going to be lost. And because the army was so weak, because they had not been paid, they're going to be like, whatever. So the German barbarians are going to take over, and they're going to conquer Western Rome. So this is the beginning of the Dark or the Middle Ages. But what's not dark is the eastern part of the Roman Empire. So Byzantium is going to start flourishing and continue going. People who the upper Roman class are going to move to Constantinople and the Byzantine Empire. Okay, so that's the beginning of the Middle Ages. We'll talk about Byzantium next, or the Byzantine Empire. I hope you learned something today.